And another one, in the famous words of DJ Khaled, another sports bucks hitting you in the back of your throat, as they say. This is the Wealth Coach Steve Crawford, MBA Certified Financial Fiduciary. Don't be scared to give us a call. A lot is going on in the sports world, as we know. Height of the NFL season, NBA, hockey, college basketball, college football bowl games, everything's going on. But today's show is Micah Parsons. The NFL says, yes, I'll hold. Denver Broncos, Payton's Place is being firmly established and not so dangerous. Might be on the next bus out of town. Listen, it's the Sports Bucks with Steve, giving you everything you want and sometimes what you need. And we're going to go ahead and say, in the words of my quarterback, Dakota Prescott, I'm going to say this. How about I say this? Y'all ready? Here we go!
Hi, my name is Lily. My mom and dad used to fight about money all the time. Then one day, I heard them talking about this guy, some uncle I never knew, called Uncle Sam. Well, they say this Uncle Sam guy wanted them to pay him like $1 gazillion, and they didn't have $1 gazillion. So they called this company they heard on the radio called the Tax Doctor. And the Tax Doctor worked with Uncle Sam's people. I think they're called the IRS. And they're able to work it out so my mom and dad didn't have to pay Uncle Sam very much money at all. So now mom and dad are happy, and I'm happy too. Thanks, Tax Doctor.
If you owe $10,000 or more to the IRS or state, call now and pay less.
Call 800-268-1055. That's 800-268-1055. 800-268-1055.
Has your heater busted, computer crashed, appliance broken? Then you need ARW Home.
Life's been pretty worry-free since I got coverage with ARW Home. Don't waste thousands of dollars on air conditioning, appliance repair, and replacements. Save that money with ARW Home. Protection plans that cover household appliances, systems, and electronics.
My air conditioning broke on a Sunday. I called ARW, and they came out and fixed it right away.
Get your free quote today. Call or go to arwhome.com now.
ARWWWW. Sound like a DJ. It's the latest in Sports Bucks with Steve. Listen, a lot of things going on. Want to go ahead and let my formal introduction be
Sports
spoken.
Bucks with Steve takes a deeper dive into the world of sports and the impact of money. Fan debates, current sporting news, and offers financial tips. Coach Steve is a certified financial fiduciary and wealth coach who specializes in retirement income tax-free strategies for individuals and business owners throughout the country.
Y'all heard that. Y'all heard that from my man. Listen, this is Sports Bucks, and we once again, as we celebrate another end of the year show. This is the end of the year show as we get ready for more of our bowl season. The bigger bowl games are now being played, and I got a little bit of a bone to pick with the bowl season, and I actually can't wait for the playoffs next season, and I'm gonna tell you why. I think this will be another show that I'll get into more depth of, But I think the 12-man playoff or the 12-team playoff is going to actually bring. You're not going to have all the opt-outs that you're getting, right? And so the opt-outs that are taking place in these bowl games are going to tilt the scale towards the teams that was able to keep some of their players that stayed, whereas the others that opted out, they're not going to stay, right, and play. And perfect example of this game is the undefeated Florida State Seminoles, who have a bone to pick with the NCAA, but why are you playing against Georgia with all these opt-outs? I wouldn't. You already don't have your quarterback. Even if they had Travis, they would still be an underdog to the two-time defending back-to-back Georgia Bulldogs, who have an argument to be in the playoffs as well, only losing one game when it mattered against Alabama. So that, to me, if Florida State is within 21 in that game, I will be surprised being a Florida State fan with all of the guys that are not playing. So stay tuned for that. But the opt-out, I believe, is been happening because these guys, right, I understand it. Don't get me wrong. They don't want to jeopardize getting injured to play in a meaningless bowl game. But when you have the 12-team playoff, you're going to see – I don't believe you're going to have those opt-outs. If your team has a chance to win a national championship, these guys are probably going to stay and play. And so that's what I suspect to happen. But back to the conversation of today is the NFL. And, this NFL that we're looking at today, and I'm going to play a lot of stuff, a few things, and I want to share the interview that I was looking at with Micah Parsons. And while we're getting that queued up, I want to talk about today's show. It's called Micah. The NFL says, yes, I'll hold. And what I mean by that is they're allowing the offensive linemen to blatantly hold Micah Parsons at this point. And it's become an embarrassment, in my opinion, for what you're seeing, because it's just unbelievable. When we sit back and we watch this game that we've all grown up and loved and all have played and coached and I've got kids in the NFL that are playing on teams that I don't even like. But I want y'all to look at this. For those of you online who are watching the video and not listening to the podcast, and I also appreciate everybody who's come in and taken the time out to watch and support our show. We're over 7,700 subscribers now, and it's without all of the fanfare of I call it the old media, and then you have new media, and then independent media. And I shout out to Dreamers Pro, who kind of brought that out on one of his shows, mentioned it, brought it out and talked about the differences between the three. And I'll explain it to you just real quickly. So I call it old media is obviously the traditional 3-letter networks, the 4-letter networks, and what you see being broadcast on mainstream television and radio. But new media is really the same, because a lot of those guys, the Stephen A's, the Shannons, the LaShannons, and the Gilbert Arenases, and some of these other folks that have come from, not necessarily Gilbert being a part of mainstream media, but he was a part of the mainstream way, right? And so what you've seen is a lot of these guys that they already have somewhat of a following coming from because they were an athlete, they were a former whatever, or they've been on television forever. And so then what happens is these guys, the Draymond Greens and things like that, even Micah to a certain extent, they bring over their own, what we call new media, but it's not really new media. It's really just these guys that are coming from, either playing or coming out of the old school, old media, but they come a lot of times with hidden agendas. They come with, or being backed by some folks to support agendas and directives. And you hear outlandish takes from former athletes that doesn't make any sense. You're like, what are you talking about, dude? That's outrageous. But independent media, and why I'm thanking you guys for having this many subscribers, in my opinion, I don't come from any of those two places. I'm a financial planner. I'm a consultant. I'm an estate and retirement coach is what I do. right? And I just show business owners how to save money and individuals how to put away better money in a better way than what you've been told. And so I don't come with any of that. So the fact that I've only had this show less than a year and I've had this many people liking it, it really, really is appreciated because this is independent media. And independent media, I don't come with the support of old school media. I don't come with the support of the new media, which is basically guys that came from the old media, and they're coming with agendas. So what I come with is unadulterated facts, and some people may say opinion, but I'm going to always give you facts to talk about what I actually see. And I'm going to call out the rest. Well, some people don't want to say anything about the rest. I don't have that problem. Or some people don't want to say anything about a particular player. I don't have that problem because I'm going to tell you what it is. So this is a startling fact. And yes, for full disclaimer, I am a Dallas Cowboy fan. Been so since Tony Dorsett, since I was a little boy. And I saw the star and loved number 33. So I know all about Harvey Martin and Randy Martin, Ed Too Tall Jones, and Drew Pearson and Roger Staubach and Danny White. The list goes on and on and on. I can talk about these guys. And so I've been a Cowboy fan. This is pre the triplets of Emmitt Smith and Michael Irving and Troy Aikman. This is before Larry Allen and the rest of the Dallas Cowboys. I don't go back as far as Mr. Cowboy himself, but I've been around long enough to at least when Tony Dorsett was playing, I've been a Cowboy fan. But I've also been a fan of honesty and what I would like to call integrity. And what I'm watching today in the NFL is a lack of integrity by the folks that we're supposed to trust and believe that they're keeping this thing honest. So here's a startling fact that it just doesn't make any sense other than complete bias. And here's what I'll say. This is startling. Listen to this. Look at the screen if you guys who can see this. Cowboys, this is a stat. Micah Parsons, who leads the NFL in pressures, has 12 and a half, 13 sacks. He should have way more than that. He hasn't drawn a holding penalty in 9 games. Let that marinate. Micah Parsons, who is the 4-3 guy, a freak of nature, hasn't drawn a holding penalty in 9 games. And I would say that what the NFL would have us to believe that their referees are not seeing holding calls on Micah Parsons. The picture itself shows you an egregious hands to the face and an egregious hold on number 11 in the Miami Dolphins game. And yet there was no flags. So let me explain to you why this is a problem when people say you're crying. If you are allowed to hold my star player, not only him, there was a blatant hold on Damon Clark, number 33, which led to them getting the game-sealing drive where he's literally held and thrown down and tackled, and they wouldn't call a hold. But they still find it somehow they can call a holding call on Tyler Smith, who should be a Pro Bowler this year. This still somehow happens. Every game, we get a holding call against our offensive line, and yet none. Oh, when I say Micah Parsons 9 games, would you believe that in almost now 7 games, I would say, maybe more than that, maybe 7 games? Well, what was it? This was week 7, so we've played 15. So in 8 games, this was the Rams game. The very next LA team that we played is the last time that an opponent's offensive line has been called for a hold against the Dallas Cowboys. Believe that or not. And you want me to think that the NFL is not biased? That the NFL referees don't have an agenda? Is this what you're telling me? We know that's nonsense. So let me show you guys who are online just the opportunity, just to show you some of the awful plays that are not being called. Just check a look at this video. Watch this. You won't be able to hear anything, but I'm showing you this video is outrageous. Look at this play. Take a look. Look at what he does to Micah Parsons. He is literally bear hugging him, number 72. There's multiple holes being done on that play alone. But it's even more that's worse than that. Egregious. While they celebrate a play, and hey, listen, I get it. I would celebrate too. We just got away with a big play. That's egregious. And I know you folks that couldn't see the play, it's egregious. Let me show you one more of a bad example of the NFL saying it is okay to hold Micah Parsons. Let's see if this is the same video or a different angle. So take a look at this. Now watch this play. Look at what's going on out here on 65 on Damone Clark. This was not called, again, as a hold. This is absolute a mugging happening. And they don't call that as a hold. Look at it one more time. Look at what 55 is doing to Damone Clark, number 30. He is literally tackling him. How the hell can you play how can you play defense in this NFL if they're allowing that type of nonsense to take place? So let me just play you real quickly. I have an interview with Micah Parsons is talking about it, but I got to play a little bit from my sponsors real quickly. But check out this from Genesis Family Dentistry.
Children need sleep for proper development, and sleeping disorders like snoring or sleep apnea may be robbing them of the rest they deserve. At Genesis Family Dentistry, Dr. Stacy Alston not only provides the finest dental care, but free screenings to identify airway issues too. And your children can get screened for more issues, such as teeth grinding, thumb sucking, tongue ties, and more. Contact Genesis Family Dentistry, 980-292-8299. Online at genesisfamilydentistry.nc.com. You're looking to protect your legacy and leave your family in solid financial health by establishing a living will or trust, but you're not sure where to start. At Big Wealth Partners, you can get comprehensive, budget-friendly wills and trust planning. Thanks to the powerful Estate Guru software, you get access to the attorneys you need anywhere in the nation. Wills and trust planning starts as low as $699, but with the promo code #SportsBucks, you'll get $100 off regular fees. Get started at BigWealthPartners.com.
And like I said, FigWealthPartners.com. Learn about the wills and trusts. Great thing happening. Protect your legacy. Let's get it started. Don't forget to enter the promo code of SportsBucks, where you can save another $100 off of those plans. Very affordable living trust that avoids probate, folks. That is an extremely important part of your planning. Now, let's get into the video. I'm going to play a little bit of this Micah Parsons video. I'm not sure where it's going to pick up at. But I want to listen to Micah kind of talk about what is going on in the game, that he's seeing.
Are you going to,
so what he's seeing in the games playing against these guys? And Micah is kind of, you can tell he's frustrated with the game and how it's being called. So we're going to we're going to pick up where Micah is basically saying we're fighting with our backs against the wall. And I want you to take a look at it. You can just tell he is completely aggravated, frustrated.
Things that's getting called and the positions we get put in. I mean, the thing is, we just got to learn how to fight the adversity. I know a lot of it's BS and we're like, this is football plays, and but
this is courtesy of the Dallas Cowboys.
We got the star in the helmet.
You hit two on the back. What did the ref say to you on that call?
He said, anybody who's watching, I won so quick. Like, how am I supposed to know he got the ball out? It's within a second. I didn't leave my feet. I didn't leave with my head. So I don't know what a roughing the passer is anymore. He said I could have done something in some manner to avoid him. But in reality, I ran into D-Law. Like, we both met the quarterback. Like I said, it's just hard to play defense.
Is that play more frustrating? Step anyway in those instances?
Yeah. He said my intent was to punish the quarterback, but how am I trying to punish him if I'm just trying to sack him? It's not like it's a late hit. It's not like I'm leaving my feet. I didn't leave with my head. I don't know how you make that call. I don't see no justification. He said I just try to punish him, and I haven't got a roughing the pass all year. What do I have against Tua to even try to hurt Tua or anything? I'm just trying to get a sack. I mean, I'm one clean.
Is that kind of play more frustrating when the ones that aren't getting called the holdings against you?
Yeah, I think that's frustrating in itself. I mean, it's like I can't get a call, but I get things called on me, you know. So obviously they looking. They just don't care what they call, you know, as long as it's just not with us. But then at the end of the day, I mean, we just gotta win these type of games.
You guys have had to rebound from losses in the past. Now back to back, it's kind of stacked now. How do you kind of take this approach into Detroit next week? Another really good team.
Yeah, you know, we just gotta come and bring our best. We're back at home. We got a great opportunity to win at home, and get back in the swing of things. But in reality, we just gotta get another win, and we just gotta win. I hate losing. I hate this feeling. I know we're such a better team, um, and it's frustrating when it's not, when the results and what you know doesn't show.
In the playoffs around the corner, what would give you confidence in going on the road and picking up the win?
Fair use.
There's no
Dallas
one that can give me
Cowboys.
more
This
confidence
video is
than the guys in
available.
this room.
Thank you. YouTube.
We just need guys to buy in, own in on what we want to do, can find the details, trust one another, because you know that's the only thing that matters is the guys in this room, this locker room. And without them, I mean, I can't go anywhere. We can't go anywhere. We just got to buy in, everybody.
How demoralizing was that final drive? You know, you guys needed to get him off the field and you couldn't get him off the field. How tough was that?
You know, it's super demoralizing. I just feel like we're good enough to get a stop, and we didn't get a stop. I mean, we got gashed. I mean, we gave up plays. It's tough. I mean, I can't.
So you see, Micah is obviously sharing his frustrations, and justifiably so, because you're talking about the situation where there's only but so much you can do and you can control, right? And so Micah is out there battling, fighting as hard as he can, looking and hoping that the game is going to be called honestly and fairly. And week after week, that's actually not happening. And so that's a sad part of this business that we're watching in the NFL, and we're watching the officiating. Just, it is what it is at this point. Anyone who thinks it's not, and I said this on the last show, that you're just simply hating and not being honest about what we're seeing, because it's unimaginable, but a guy that's a generational talent, this generation's version of Lawrence Taylor, who's the greatest defensive player I've ever seen play, and one of the top 4 or 5 NFL players of all time. When you start talking about a special player and Hall of Famer, and congratulations to this recent nominees at the Hall of Famer. I don't have the whole list, but I know guys like Darren Woodson, you know, one of the best safeties that's ever played, and should have been in the Hall of Fame already. Andre Johnson, who will probably be a first ballot Hall of Famer. Shout out to Andre Johnson and the South Florida crew. Patrick Willis, and there's Antonio Gates, one of the best tight ends that's ever played, will probably make it as well. And there's a list of other folks out there that will most likely get in. Hoping, as a Cowboy fan, hoping that we can get there, D Wood in the hole, because I think he richly deserves it. But that was Micah Parsons. He was expressing his frustration in a very tough back-to-back loss. And you got to understand that part of that, one of those plays, you know, that roughing call. And I've heard fans yell as, "Oh, you guys, everybody got calls and this is that." And I'm like, listen, can we stop being naive? The flag that was thrown, the roughing the passer flag on Wilkins, Clemson's Wilkins, who plays for the Miami Dolphins now and is one of the standout defensive tackles, was to me a bad call, right? But his foul was worse than what Micah Parsons did to Tua. He actually landed on Dak Prescott at the back of the end zone. He actually landed on him. And I still thought it probably shouldn't have been called. But his penalty that they called on Micah Parsons, the one on Wilkins, did not lead to any scores. We were in the back of our end zone, essentially. We ended up moving the ball a little bit after that and had to punt it away, right? and play calling to me was suspect because Dak Prescott has proven to be a guy that can lead you out of the back of the end zone. I don't know why they didn't be a little bit more aggressive with a quarterback like Dak Prescott, and who's having an arguably an MVP caliber play that he's played this season. And so I found that to be an egregious flag when they called it on Micah Parsons, because as Micah rightfully said, he literally he's literally getting hit. When he hits Tua, he takes his steps. He doesn't take a third step. He hits him in the back. He doesn't knock him to the ground. He didn't knock him all the way to the ground. And he really ran into DeMarcus Lawrence, which is true. He ran into Tank. This was a third down play. It was 3rd and goal. That made it 1st and goal for the Dolphins. The very next play, Raheem Mostert had a touchdown run. That's game-changing calls. That's the only touchdown that the Dolphins had all day in a 22-20 win for the Miami Dolphins. You think that wasn't a bigger call? Come on. It should have never been thrown. That's a field goal. The Dolphins end up kicking 5 field goals. That was their offense. So that's the game, if you want to call it that. Then there was egregious missed calls on a 3rd down and goal for the Dallas Cowboys, where the man literally grabs CeeDee Lamb's pockets, his pants, pulls it back. You can't miss this. And when someone says, well, they missed call, you can't miss that call. Why? How do you miss that call at the back of the end zone where all of the play is right in front of you? It wasn't like he had to run all the way down the field, and this was right in front of the back judge. But you don't call it. So then they do the very next play. We had to go for it on 4th down, and the guy grabs him again, and the other guy grabs Gallup, and so they have to throw the flag at that point. And we end up with a great throw by Dak to get the touchdown. But that time that took to get all that to happen was more time off the clock. Dallas had to fight uphill. And I said this when the Buffalo Bills, I watched them play the Chargers the other week. The Bills, who had 23 penalties in 3 games, they played Dallas. They have 1 unsportsmanlike penalty accepted. The other one was offsetting, and that was bogus, because that should have not been offsetting, because Zach Martin just defended his quarterback and just bumps the Buffalo Bills player who falls all over the ground. He didn't throw him down and grab him. You got to know discretion, but I'm going to just stop there with that. And then all of a sudden, they only had 1 penalty against Dallas. They come back the next week, and magically, deliciously, they're throwing flags on the Bills again. They had 7 against the Chargers. They had 23 the week before playing us in the 3 games leading up prior to playing us. They get 1 called against us, an unsportsmanlike. That was it. No holds. They ran the ball 49 times with no holds somehow. And then the next week, James Cook comes back to earth and fumbles the football, does not have a good game. They actually called holding on the Bills. Somehow. And then yet, here we are with Dallas. Here we go, another penalty in our games once again. And none being called against the opponent's offensive line. It is egregious. It is shameful. It is disgusting. Anyhow, one last thing before we get ready to get out of here. I did want to talk about, I called this Payton's Place. I call this Payton's Place for a reason, because I wanted to talk to you guys a little bit about what we're seeing with the Denver Broncos and the fiasco that's happening. But I got to, once again, pay a couple of bills, so just stay tuned.
Now is a national campaign aimed at the education and awareness of the devastating effects of opioid and heroin abuse and curbing drug and alcohol addiction in the United States. Recover Now is sponsored by treatment facilities nationwide. Many of them have been where you are, and they want to help by spreading a message of hope and recovery. They're working hand in hand with major insurance companies nationwide that can help you or a loved one get clean in 7 to 30 days. Recover Now is embarking on a national outreach campaign on TV and radio to promote anti-addiction messages. So if you, a loved one, or someone you know has a problem with drugs or alcohol, do not wait. A new life for you could be 30 days away. Call us right now. I promise this call can change your life. Sponsored by the Detox and Treatment Helpline.
800-936-5087. 800-936-5087. That's 800-936-5087.
If you're a diabetic, we have great news. You can end the painful finger sticks with a new CGM. Plus, they may be covered by Medicare, Medicaid, or private insurance. If you use insulin or have had hypoglycemic events, you may qualify. Call US Med now to learn more.
800-628-7226. 800-628-7226. 800-628-7226. That's 800-628-7226.
Do you owe the IRS $10,000
make sure you hear those numbers,
or more
don't
in
you?
back taxes? Are you being audited or investigated? Has the IRS sent you a letter demanding payment? You may not owe what they claim. Make this free call to the tax doctor now. Let them negotiate with the IRS on your behalf.
800-663-5107. 800-663-5107. That's 800-663-5107.
And we're back, and I wanted to kind of take this thing home and just kind of giving you a little bit of, I thought about Payton's Place, and let me explain to you what's going on when I say Payton's Place. The NFL has decided, or the Denver Broncos have decided, that Russell, Mr. Last Name Wilson, is not who they're looking for, and they've made a business decision that says Russell Wilson. Now let me just give you a little bit of some facts that's going on. And I'm going to tell you something. Russell Wilson is a better man than me, because Sean Payton has been absolutely disrespectful at all terms. And I want to play this video courtesy of ESPN, where Ryan Clark is spot on in his observation of how Russell, last name Wilson, has been treated by the Denver Broncos, and in particular, head coach Sean Payton.
Mike T, like they're making a decision based on money and the financials. And when Daniel says this is the deal that we signed or we offered Russell Wilson, it's not the deal that we or us did, because Sean Payton wasn't there.
True.
Right.
True.
And so the business of it is not a problem to me. But let's be honest, Sean Payton has behaved as a thug since he became the coach of the Denver Broncos. Immediately when he gets in the building, he starts to undercut Russell Wilson personally and professionally from his first press conference on. He tells Russell Wilson, you have to stop kissing babies, stop behaving as if you're running for office. Nobody kissed more babies in New Orleans than Drew Brees. Period, point blank. From the beginning, he walked into this building and he had a point to prove when it came to Russell Wilson. You're going to be just like everybody else. I'm going to treat you just like I treat everyone else on the team. That's not the way it works with franchise quarterbacks, right? With a franchise quarterback, he's talked to differently. There are conversations instead of being talked at. You don't berate them on the sideline against the Detroit Lions because you don't agree with their play. We watched Sean Payton in New Orleans for a decade and a half, never treat his quarterback this way. And so now as you move through and you hear about the phone call, you hear about talking to his representatives about restructuring or doing whatever they wanted him to do to the contract, this was just a means to an end for Sean Payton. This was going to happen at some point. It just happened toward the end of the, I don't believe there was a thing Russell Wilson could do to make Sean Payton like him. I think from a personality standpoint, it was a bad match. I think schematically, it was a bad match. But my point is this. My point is this. Let's hold Sean Payton to some sort of professional accountability. His behavior as the head coach of the Denver Broncos is unacceptable. If I'm the Walton family, I do not want somebody representing me this way. And I want to say this about Russell Wilson, because Russell Wilson takes a hell of a lot of heat. The humility that Russell Wilson has shown, the professionalism that Russell Wilson has shown inside of that building while being treated that way by that man, all I got to say to Sean Payton is you lucky you had the right one.
Mm-hmm.
You lucky you had the right one. Bars. Ryan Clark is actually one of my favorite guys on television because he will actually say it without saying it in a way, but we all understand what he means. So let me give you a little bit of facts about when the NFL says they all want to win. No, they don't. They want to win a certain type of way, but they don't really want to win. And you can tell a lot of these teams are just mailing it in every year, and the Broncos don't really want to win. Here's why I say this. This is what the Denver Broncos, who are apparently, from what I'm being told, approached Russell Wilson early on in the season about restructuring his contract where he has this injury aspect or part of the contract that was negotiated when he was signed and traded. So here's my problem. This is what you signed, Denver. This is what you signed him for. You gave him this. Now, see, people complain about athletes and they want them to be loyal and all this other kind of stuff, but you signed this man with a contract. Now you want him to defer that $37 million that he has in store with him that you agreed to pay him when you signed him. It was all good just a week ago, as they say. So now all of a sudden, Russell Wilson is supposed to just give up money or push it to the side. And who knows, you might come up with something else down the road with that. So here's what we have with Russell Wilson. From according to what I'm looking at here, it says that this man has 3,070 plus yards. This is who they just benched. 26 touchdowns, 8 interceptions. He has a 66% completion ratio with a 98% passer rating. He has 40% conversion rate on third downs. And you're telling me because his defense couldn't stop Bailey Zappi, Devontae Parker, and the 311 Patriots at home, that Russell Wilson's benching is okay and you want to win? If I'm a Broncos fan, I can't be a fan of that organization as long as Sean Payton's place is running the place. That is egregious and ridiculous. And he's right. He's been a complete thug, I said it, of how he's handled the Denver Broncos and mostly Russell Wilson. You watched him berate Russell Wilson on the sideline, and we already know what you really want to do to me. And you've already tried to do this to me weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks ago, even though I've been leading this team, winning games and doing all I can to help this team win. Didn't throw any interceptions in that game, by the way, where they lost against the Patriots. So just a little bit of, and we're talking about this man berated him in front of the whole team, in front of the country, in front of my wife and my kids, dog. Are we serious? Are we serious? He lucky he got the right one because Spreewell, that's all I'm going to say. Listen, we can get out of here, but this, to me, this is a $37 million and an injury guarantee for 2025 that it would be, I guess it would be triggered if he got injured. It was an injury guarantee for 2025 that will become guaranteed no matter what on the 5th day of the 2024 league year in March. And this was at the time Wilson was coming off a 3-touchdown game in the win over the Chiefs and was starting to experience the type of success he envisioned following a challenging first year in Denver. So the threat, from what I understand, however, shocked him, and the two sides got into a major dispute on how to proceed. So the issue remained, but the Broncos stuck with Wilson as a team strung together several primetime wins over the Buffalo Bills and the Minnesota Vikings, followed by another win over the Cleveland Browns. We're talking about one of the league's best defenses. All of those things took place. And so now Wilson, who has done what I've just mentioned, is being pushed to the side because the Denver Broncos and Payton Place is ruling the day. Don't tell me you want to win when you do stuff like that. That's fraudulent. Russell Wilson deserves better. And so does the Denver Broncos and the rest of the NFL fans who believe teams want to win. And the reality is, with that type of stuff, not really. You're not showing that. This is Sports Bucks with Steve. We thank all of our sponsors. Thank you for tuning in. And we'll see you again next week. In the words of my quarterback, well, you know what he says. Here we go. We'll see you next week.